Good evening and welcome to the first of two meetings this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we'll convene our Board of Sanitation meeting. And in lieu of a roll call, I'll introduce all of the participants. To my far right, Ed Bell. To my immediate right, Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer. To my immediate left, Craig Wiley, City Attorney. And to my far left, Sandra Seward. Board members, you've been giving a copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated February the 4th, 2013. This time the floor is open for comments or questions.
No comments or questions.
After going through it, I have none.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
And I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye and the motion carries. Under old business, there's none on the agenda, but I do want the Public Works Director, Brad, could you come up and talk about the Parkway project? From the previous meeting, we discussed the Parkway project, and it's completed?
Yeah, it is. English Excavating came in, dug it up. It went really well. In fact, the cost ended up being $1,000 less than the low side of their estimate, so we were really happy with that. Rarely does one go as smooth as this did, so it seemed to fix the problem. And then we provided photos for the website, so those should be available to anybody that wants to check that out.
All right, thank you. No other old business. Under new business, solid waste trash tote inventory. I've asked Brent Siebenthal to come up. Brent, welcome.
Thank you. I would like to present for the board's consideration an agreement between the board and Wessler Engineering for performing the solid waste trash tote inventory and preparing a database. The purpose of this will be to go through and identify in the field how many trash totes and the serial numbers of those trash totes there are on a per address basis, and then prepare a database that the city can use for the purposes of tracking those trash totes. It's my understanding there sometimes are trash totes that leave with the occupant, and so that's been a significant expense. And so our goal is to do what it takes to have an inventory that you can use for tracking purposes. The compensation is time and materials estimated not to exceed $16,000, and our goal is to have the field work done within 30 days. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
A little insight for the board. The council last year passed an ordinance that requires an inventory to be on file, and to our knowledge there is not one. So now is the time to do a good inventory to make a determination on what we actually have throughout the city, and this is probably as good as any to come up with, so I would recommend the board approve it.
I have a question. How far do you go on the people's property to look for these?
We're going to do our best to stay within the public right-of-way. I guess if there are some perhaps close to homes that we can't view, then our best bet would be to record the address, get the property owner's name, and then perhaps follow up with a phone call and get it that way. Okay. I mean, we can go knock on the doors. I think we'll see after the first day or two. We'll get an idea what works.
The ordinance says, Brent, that you shouldn't go on private property.
Okay, so then we will simply do what we can within public right-of-way, and if we can't read these serial numbers, then we'll just note it as such and do a follow-up phone call.
Good.
I do have one question, probably more from Brad. Do we, as a Beech Grove organization, your department, do we have the manpower and the software to do all of this in-house? No. Okay. Thank you.
And we will be using the city's existing sanitary database to try and save as much time as possible.
I have no
further questions.
If there's no questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agreement between Wessler Engineering and the City of Beech Grove for solid waste trash tote inventory and database.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye and the motion carries.
Thank you.
All
Again,
right.
we appreciate the opportunity.
All right, Brent. Looking forward to getting this done and getting a good inventory on file. Now I'll go back up to approval of the claims. I wanted to get Brent out of here. Board, we have manual claims docket. We have one page in the amount of $5,643. The floor is open for comments or questions.
I have none.
I have no comments.
If there's no comments or questions, motion to approve the manual wastewater claims in the amount of $5,643.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Board, before you have a docket of regular wastewater claims. These are claims that require board approval prior to being paid. Tonight, you have 2 pages of claims in the amount of $42,039.44. Floor is open for comments or questions.
I do have a question, please. On page 1, about a fourth of the way down, it is for a Shoemaker Performance for $14,858. What is that for, please?
That is, I believe, the Prowler that Tom Hanna bought for the parks. The
Off-road
utility
vehicle.
vehicle.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I have none, thank you.
If not, I ask for a motion to approve the regular wastewater claims in the amount of $42,039.44.
Make motion to approve the wastewater regular claims.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes approval of the claims, old business and new business. Comments from board members?
Yes, I do have a comment. I'd like to thank Brad and his staff. I have an elderly neighbor who was trying to handle one of the large trash totes the day of the blizzard. And I went over and I had seen her a couple weeks, prior to trying to push that heavy trash can. It was really getting awkward for her to handle. And then I realized the day of the blizzard, she fell picking up, trying to push that large trash can, and she actually crawled from the street to her door. And just want to say thank you and your staff for going out and swapping out a large trash tote for a small one. Now she can handle it, and it's much more safer for her. So thank you.
Any other comments? Ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:05 PM. The next meeting is scheduled for March the 4th, Monday night, at 6 PM here in these chambers. However, we may have to move it depending on the Great X folks, where they set their stuff up and their barricades, because that's the day that the project's supposed to start on Main Street. But for now, we'll just go ahead and have it here. And if it needs to change it, I'll notify you. We will convene the Board of Works in 5 minutes. Good evening and welcome to the second of 2 meetings this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we'll convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. And in lieu of a roll call, I will introduce the participants. To my far right, Ed Bell. To my immediate right, Dan McMillan, our Clerk Treasurer. To my immediate left, Craig Wiley, our City Attorney. To my far left, Sandra Seward, also a member of this board. Board, you've been giving a copy of the minutes from the previous meeting dated February the 4th, 2013. The floor is open for comments or corrections.
I see none on it myself.
I've reviewed them, and there are no corrections.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Approval of claims. Board, The first docket of claims is manual corporation claims. These are claims that do not require board approval prior to being paid. Tonight, you have 6 pages of claims in the amount of $402,405. The floor is open for comments.
Will our light bill go down since we're not going to have any lights down Main Street?
I'm not sure, Ed. I don't know.
Because that's pretty steep there.
I have no comments.
Motion to approve the manual claims in the amount of $402,405.
Make motion to approve the corporate manual claims.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. The next docket of claims are regular corporation claims. These are claims that require board approval prior to being paid. Tonight, Board, you have 5 pages of claims in the amount of $127,273.86. The floor is open for comments or questions.
I have one. I believe I know what it is, but I want to make sure. On the last page, the top, Miracle Recreation Equipment, $30,142. I would take it that's the shelters.
That's one of the shelters.
Okay, one of the
There
shelters.
should be 2 of them on there, one for 30,000 something and one for 40,000. 40,013, the page before it. But yes, that's our 2 shelters
Okay.
for Chalice Park.
I'd like to add to that, Dan, thank you for marking that it was paid under the bond. That's very
Okay.
helpful. Thank you. I have a question on page 2, please. Shoemaker Performance or a plow kit, does that go on front of the utility vehicle that we just got?
Oh, the plow kit?
Yes.
Or is that a Shoemaker?
For 1,000?
Parks, yes.
Okay.
That is to completely do that, so enclose it and the plow itself, winch.
Okay. And just a few down from there, Network Solutions in the amount of $6,987. City Hall comp servers and miscellaneous.
Yes, they were having problems down at the senior center. It's for long-distance service and so forth, and Len had to order some parts from Network Solutions and to get them up on the tower and so forth to get them up and running.
Okay, thank you.
Was that what caused them to lose the phone service?
Yes, yeah, that's phones, computers.
Okay.
Is that an upgrade or did we have an issue?
Well, I'm not sure if it was an issue that was created from when we had our lightning strike, because there was a couple radios that were damaged at that time, but hopefully this will solve the problem.
Okay,
We had to order thicker string.
Yeah.
thanks, Dan.
Cheap cans.
No other questions?
I have no.
No other questions or comments. I ask for a motion to approve the regular corporation claims in the amount of $127,273.86.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. There's no old business to bring forward from the last meeting. Under new business, certification pay increase. Chief Cheshire?
Mayor and Board, I come before you today to ask for the approval of the pay increase of Ryan Cobb to the position of paramedic. If approved, Ryan's certification pay will increase by $1,750 for the remainder of 2013. This will take effect today, Tuesday, February 19th, 2013. The increase in certification pay is factored into the 2013 budget. Do you have any questions?
No questions. Motion to approve the request of the fire chief.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Chief, can you make sure that his certificate's copied and brought down?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, I have one more item too.
Okay.
I'd like to present to the board. Over the weekend, our partners in public safety at Indianapolis EMS, they had two employees, an EMT and paramedic, that was killed in an ambulance crash downtown. Our heartfelt sympathies go out to them, and I would like for the public to keep this organization in their thoughts and prayers over the next difficult weeks for them. If you recall, just over a year ago, one of our ambulances was involved in a vehicle accident on South Arlington. Our crew was very fortunate that they were able to walk away with just minor injuries. These accidents affect public safety. You can pick up a newspaper, look on the internet, and you look at how the police departments, fire, and EMS are affected by these accidents. No one's immune. Being a small town, we are not immune to this either. So just want you guys to reach out and keep them in your thoughts. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. I'll defer to the clerk to request to hire assistants. Dan?
Okay. On March the 1st will be the last day for the part-time assistant. And I found out today our full-time person in our office, her husband has been in a nursing home, and he's actually going to need additional care. So she's going to be leaving in approximately 4 weeks. So actually, I'm going to ask your permission to hire 2 people. One would be a part-time person, the other one would be a full-time person to fill these vacancies.
Comments from board members?
Well, I know both of them. They're fine workers. It's going to be tough to see them go, but, you know, they have to do what they have to do.
We'll do this separately. I'll ask for a motion to approve to allow the clerk to hire a part-time person for the front office. With that, the person will not be allowed to work over 29 hours per week.
What was it, 29?
29.
Yeah. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We'll move to the full-time clerk position. Ask for a motion to approve a full-time person for the position of clerk.
Make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Dan, will you be, how will you be recruiting these people?
And there will be an ad start this week.
Okay, thank you.
Will it be going on our website as well?
Probably not, because whoever comes in will have to have accounting experience, and I just think we'll reach a greater amount of people.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is the 2013 FOP agreement presentation. And representatives from the FOP, if you could come forward. Are you going to do it, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
All right. How we'll do this, Jamie, is if you can go through the items that you have highlighted in your agreement, just skip over them, and then once you do that, the board will be allowed to respond back and ask questions
Okay.
of you. So,
Okay. Did you get the updated,
yes, sir.
and do they have a copy? of the
Yes.
Updated? Okay.
They're right here. Yes.
So the first new section would be section 5 under Article 2. I think it's page 6, and it's a section on policies regarding part-time officers. We just added that to protect the full-time officers that we have now. Excuse me. Any questions about that? Okay.
Please, how many part-time offers do we currently have?
We don't have any part-time officers.
Currently?
No.
And how many reserve officers do you have?
We currently don't have a reserve program.
I do have a question. When you're reading through it, it's talking about part-time officers, to be used for addition. But one of the sections, it says that if a full-time officer retires or vacates that position, it sounds like a part-time officer cannot even apply for that. It says part-time cannot go in that position. Is that the intent or of your writing, or should it be state that they would be able to?
Is it letter C or D? Can I ask you that?
Well, okay, D, in the event that a full-time officer resigns or retires, that officer will be replaced with a full-time officer.
Correct.
But up in one of the sections, it says, no officer will be laid off or terminated or replaced with a part-time officer.
Correct. What we're doing is we're trying to protect the full-time officers, and the problem with the part-time officer is they're not going to work enough to get the experience that a full-time officer has. And in a job like ours, it takes years to get the kind of experience that you need to be efficient at this job.
Okay, well, I guess I'm confused on, are you going to get just someone off the street and put a badge on? I thought they would have to go through the training school to even be a part-time officer.
They would have to go through the training, that's correct, but if they're working 1 day a week, that can't replace working a 5-day work week and getting all that experience. We just don't want that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any more questions on that section? Okay. And just under that, under section 7, we had a change in wording. We've changed it to agreement to meet and agree on certain matters. And I think a good example of this, actually, we did it with Dan. We had a health insurance committee, and it worked wonderfully. We had representatives from every department in the city. We came together, we talked about it, we were able to agree on it, and I think it worked really well. That's why we changed it to that wording.
I just had one question in regards to that wording. So in order to promote and maintain the existing strong relationship between the city, department, and the FOP, and the provision of public safety to the citizens of the city shall meet and agree with the FOP. I think the word agree needs to be changed to discuss. So the city shall meet and discuss with the FOP.
Okay. Well, our feeling on that is anyone can discuss anything. I can sit down and discuss something with you, but if you still want to do it this way, you're going to do it that way. So to give us a little bit more protection and for everyone to be more open in the process, if we can agree on it, then everybody wins.
I agree, but I agree with what you're saying, but the way it's just worded, it sounds like the city has to agree with the FOP.
No, that's what we're asking.
Yeah.
I won't lie to you.
Okay.
I'm not going to stand here and
Okay.
that's what we're asking for.
But that's kind of, putting the city's hands behind their back and saying,
Well, I think you have to realize that we're not unrealistic. We're not going to come in here and
Sure.
and we're going to agree to probably everything that we sit down and discuss.
Okay.
But that's the problem. We don't want, we don't want to come in, have the city tell us, okay, this is what we'd like to do. Give us an opportunity to say, well, no, we don't really, and then the city say, well, we don't care. We're going to do it anyways. So I think both sides need some kind of protection in that. We can work on that. I'm not sure a better word that we can use, but.
About confer?
Or partner.
I like confer.
About confer?
Confer.
Okay.
yeah.
Good, thank you.
I apologize. We don't have page numbers on this, so it's going to be kind of hard for me to.
Section number works fine.
Okay. We don't have very many changes which is good. Under Article 5, Employee Benefits, Section 4, it's dealing with college incentive pay, and it's just different wording. There's no change in the amount of college pay, and the college pay has already been approved by City Council for this year.
Okay.
On the next page,
You're talking about section, where are you at now?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Section 4.
are we good on that one?
Yep, you're on the right page, section 4.
Okay.
Next page, Section 7 is a new section. It's dealing with on-the-job injury and illness. We have a new department policy which covers this and basically says that if an officer is injured or becomes ill on duty, they don't have to use their sick time.
Absolutely.
I want to elaborate on that. And I think one of the things that differentiates police and fire from public works is that public works does not have restricted or light duty. So this is the option for the police and fire. And the board needs to understand that if somebody gets hurt on the job and they are not going to be, if they are not going to be able to come back on the job, then they have to take the sick days, because PERF is not going to allow pension until the city proves that all of their sick time has been used.
Exhausted.
So it depends on the situation. I agree with not using sick time, but it depends on what happens. So we have, I like this, but we have to be careful with it.
I've got a comment on this. Now, what's the difference in this and what workman's comp would pick up? Because they are covered under workman's comp, am I not correct?
Yes, that would be
They would get more.
well, I think
Both?
that would have to be worked out between the city and the insurance carrier, because the insurance carrier is going to ask if they are off the job.
Right, okay.
And technically, they are if they're not working, or if they're on restricted duty, then, if they go on restricted duty, then workman's comp may not
Pick it up.
pick up the 33% or whatever it is they pay. We just have to see what the case is.
Which would kick in first? I guess that's my question. Would it be the workman's comp or?
No, I think this
or
would
the
kick in.
contract?
I don't know. We'd have to look at that.
Mayor, I believe workman's comp would compensate you guys for the money lost on those wages. When it comes to, say, if I'm out for 2 weeks, like when I broke my leg and I was off work for 2 weeks, those wages you paid out to me while I was off the job, workman's comp would compensate you for those wages. What this covers us, prior it used to be if you got hurt on the job, you had to use your own sick time for a work-related illness. And the problem with that is, a guy like Lee, who's only been here less than a year, he's got a couple of days of sick time. So if he goes out tonight in a foot pursuit like I did 2 years ago and severely breaks his legs where the doctor says you can't even get off the couch for 3 weeks before they're going to let you go sit at the desk, he's going unpaid after the first week for something that happened during the normal course of his duty. And this just changes that and makes sure that if someone gets hurt on the job, they're not put at a disadvantage and they're not hurt financially for just doing their job. So that's merely what this does, to just make sure the workman's comp will compensate you guys for those hours.
We have that right now with the fire department. One of the brand-new guys is in recruit class, and he hurt his shoulder. So he's out. I don't know if he's back yet or not. But what would happen would be, if this didn't apply, and he only has 1 or 2 sick days, he would eat those up within 5 days. What would happen would be the chief would have to come and approach the Board of Works and ask for an extension of sick time, even though there's none, in order for this guy to get paid because he got hurt on the job. And that's what this is. This really affects the new guy, the guy who doesn't have much time on the job. So.
Okay.
That's a good question.
All right, on the next page there at the bottom, section 12, We've updated that again, and we've added to the end of that sentence without first meeting and conferring with the FOP. And that's, you're welcome.
You're talking about on section 12,
Yes, the fuel surcharge. The last sentence of the paragraph.
right, without confirming with FOP?
Yes.
Is there a current surcharge or cap currently?
We currently have a cap. Patrol officers get 145 gallons per month,
Right.
but we don't have a surcharge.
Can we define that in the contract?
We can put that in
Add
there.
that in there,
Sure.
please. Again, nothing's changing, we're just adding it, so it's,
Correct, it's already in our policy.
What happens if you go over the allotted mile or gallonage?
I'll let the chief talk to that.
Is it a discipline matter?
Yes, it is.
Any more in that section?
no.
Okay. Next page, section 13, staffing levels. Our current contract right now calls for 32 officers. Right now, we're at 31. We've been at 31 for the past 3 or 4 years, I think. Is that correct? So we've been in violation of the current contract now for the same amount of time. We're supposed to have 32 officers, we're at 31. We're asking to keep it at 32 and looking into a minimum of 35.
Yeah, it says explore the goal,
Correct.
like that.
I think the board is very conscious of that. And I think if there's any way that we could do that with not only police but fire and DPW, we would probably do it.
Sure.
And I think there's provisions that might allow us to do it next year, depending on how the funding comes from the state.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I just think that if we show patience, and Ed, you brought up a nice point, I think we just work through this.
Comment on that. As far as, I mean, I have no problem with 32 officers. I just want to make sure it's budgeted for 32. So I don't want you to get this contract approved and automatically think you can go out and hire somebody if it's not budgeted.
Well, Dan, our contract for the past 4 years has said we'd had 32.
Right.
And
I
we have
understand
worked with the city.
Right.
And we're, like I said, we're not unrealistic.
Right.
We understand
But
budget
it's just going
constraints.
to be a budgeted item.
Sure.
When you say that you're down to 31, is that because of Officer Parker at the high school? Is that why you're down?
No, actually, if you want to take him out of the equation, we're at 30.
I mean, you kind of do take him out of the equation. I mean, he's not on the street. He is.
Correct.
You know, in one.
He is there, but he is available for emergencies, but technically, yes, we are down another.
On his hands, so.
Yeah, so we're down to 30.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
That's, I didn't realize that, but that's a good point. So how much overtime does the city have to pay to compensate for the 2 officers that you don't have?
Well, currently, we stay within our overtime boundaries. I wouldn't say we're at a crisis yet, but I can stand here and tell you that 14 years ago when I got hired, the city of Beech Grove was a different city. We have a different criminal element now. You know, when I first got hired, we would never do what's called pending a run. And pending a run means you put it on hold, and that citizen has to wait until we free up an officer for police assistance. Well, now, we do it almost every day because we can't get to it. We have a minimum of 4 officers on middle shift and late shift, and to be honest with you, it's not enough. We need 5 or 6 at a minimum to keep up with the run volume that we have. And since we have such a large run volume, it's hard for us to take any proactive police action. You know, we're running from run to run to run, and we don't have time to make traffic stops or investigate suspicious people that we might be passing. We have to get to those runs. So if we had 5 or 6 on each shift at a minimum, I think it would help both us and the city out.
I think you're very correct when you say Beech Grove is not the same as it was 13 years ago.
No, it's not. I can give you examples. This past summer, we had a run to the Walmart because 3 people were literally in the parking lot shooting up heroin. You won't see that 14 years ago in Beech Grove.
And that is not our Beech Grove?
No, and it's not people from Beech Grove. It's not Beech Grove citizens. But the criminal element is here. We're behind the 8 ball, and we're trying to catch up, but we can't. We really need more officers. But to answer your question, we stay within the overtime boundaries. We don't go over.
That, but, you know, now I realize instead of having, say, 3 out there, you only have 2. I'm just throwing out figures.
Right. On a normal day, if you have a 4-officer minimum on middle shift, and you have 2 two-man runs at the same time, you're out of officers.
Right.
That's it.
How was overtime funded?
Through the budget, it's through,
It's budgeted?
yeah.
Okay.
So, any other questions on that section? Then we have a brand-new section there under Article 6, Appointment of the Police Chief. We actually stole that from the fire department. They actually had that in their contract. I liked it, so I put it on ours. It just gives us a voice if we have a new police chief.
I want to point out that I did that before I became mayor with no agreement. So it's good to sit down and talk about it. You might not like the decision that's made, but at least you can voice your say.
Right. Next page, Section 3, Certification and Position Pay. This hasn't changed. The only thing we did was change some wording. The previous contract just said a graduate of the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy.
Hey, wait a minute. I want to go back to Article 7.
Okay.
Section 1, Wages and Salaries. These are the salaries that the council approved for this year.
Yes, sir. These have already been approved by the city council.
Okay.
There's nothing new in that section.
I'm sorry, Jamie.
Oh, that's okay. Section 3, next page. The previous contract just had graduate of the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. However, there are numerous academies within the state of Indiana. And there's also, of course, out-of-state academies, like Officer Rinks here, started in North Carolina, but he's still an accredited police officer. So we felt that we wanted to make it fair that everyone gets the certification pay.
Now, I'm just curious. Does every state basically have the same accreditability, or?
They don't. It varies, largely because of different laws. Of course, North Carolina would have different laws than us.
Right.
What happens is we have a board in Indiana that will look at the academy that he went to. They would figure out what he received, what he needs to receive. He'll get the extra training in Indiana, and once he passes that, he'll be accredited for the state of Indiana.
All right.
Every police officer is currently getting certification pay, am I correct?
Yes, sir. And they always did. I want to make sure that you're clear on that. They always did. But to make sure that we protected everyone, we changed the wording to make sure that included everybody.
Sense.
Jamie, question. Each year, what does the police officer have to do from continuing education to continue to be a police officer?
There are 16 hours that are state mandated, and then our department, we need 48 hours of continuing ed.
So 64?
No, 48 total. But there's 16 hours that every police officer needs. That includes domestic violence, SIDS, and some other basic areas that everyone gets training in every year, a refresher training. But we have 48 total that we need to get.
Does that include driving?
We do go to the EVOT course at least twice a year.
And shooting?
Yes.
Well, that's not factored in the 48 hours. That's separate.
No, that's included in our 48.
Okay. Okay.
Any more questions on that section? We good? Okay, section 4, overtime at the bottom. We have increased our minimum call-out time to 3 hours. It used to be 2. We've now increased it to 3.
And why was that changed?
We were advised that the fire department gets 3 hours, so to make it fair.
I'll tell you why it was changed. When I was fire chief, that was a federal guideline for the Fair Labor Standards Act,
Okay.
and that was brought down, when you require somebody to come in, the compensation went from 2 hours to 3 hours.
Okay. Thanks.
Let's see. Comp time has been capped at 160 hours. The previous contract had 480. However, the police administration had put it down to 80, and we came to agreement between us and the administration to set it at 160. And then the overtime calculation there at the bottom, that is nothing new. That is how it's always been calculated. We just put it in the contract to make it,
Okay.
okay. Then the last section there, holiday pay, it's just a change of wording. We're just saying that these are the paid holidays that we will receive. And these are the holidays that we currently get, and I believe all city employees currently get these holidays. So there's nothing new there either.
Okay.
I have a comment about that.
Sure.
Easter is not recognized as a U.S. holiday.
Okay.
What do you think about Columbus Day? It's not on your list, but it is a national holiday.
Would you add it or replace?
That would be replaced.
Replace.
Replace Easter Sunday? I think that would be something that would be citywide. The only thing I can say to that is, you know, as long as I've been here, we've gotten Easter Sunday. I don't think it matters. A day's a day, so,
Let me run this past you.
sure.
Other than police and fire, nobody would get Easter. Because obviously it's Sunday and they're off.
So,
If you moved it to Columbus Day, more people would be able to take account of the benefit.
I agree with that, but that's not a, that's not a police matter. That sounds like it's the other departments that need to discuss that.
I think Columbus Day was traded off for the day after Thanksgiving, so where
Okay.
they could make a long weekend. But I think police and fire are a little bit different because a lot of them work on that Sunday where other employees do not.
That is true.
So,
A third of our employees will be working Easter Sunday.
right.
There's
And
no way
it's just
around
like
that.
Good Friday is not recognized as a holiday by national standards. Some cities don't recognize it at all. Others give them time off to go to service, whatever. So that's something that's going to be
Right.
brought up at the next council meeting.
that's
So,
correct. We're working on that now.
right. So hopefully there will be some clarification.
Is that something that can be, if that's something you guys wanted, is that something that can be addressed once it's addressed with the city? Like if the city decides that Columbus Day is going to be a recognized holiday for city employees, we can readdress that?
I think the board would let you to amend the agreement.
Yeah, that's possible. We can always come back
Be
and,
open to that. I mean, that's, I don't know if we'd be on KT.
I've been working on this and talking with the mayor, so we're still going back and forth.
but Dan made a good point. We probably are the only two departments that actually have to work Easter
Have to
Sunday.
work.
So it's nice to get that compensation for having to work that day. And I believe that's it. Section 6 has been reverted back to 22.7 and 3% for the contribution to PERF.
Now, I've got a question on that, just for clarification purpose. It's 19.7 plus the 3 the city pays.
Correct.
Is the 22.7.
Correct.
Employees are still at 3. Because mine was, you couldn't even read it. And so that's the only reason why.
You mean
I'm
this?
asking. Yeah. I just got a copy of this just a few minutes ago.
Okay.
So basically, it's what it has.
It's what it is.
Okay.
We haven't changed that.
All right.
It's what it is. And I think that's it. Those are the changes that we had. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to.
I do have a question. When was the last time all of you received a raise from the city?
4 years ago.
Or you've been out without a raise for 4 years?
4 years?
Yes.
4 years.
So 2009?
Yes.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have a comment or want to contribute to what Jamie's added? If not, board members, do you have comments?
Great discussion. Other comments?
No, we pretty well ironed everything out prior to, so
Okay.
I really appreciate that.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agreement between the City of Beech Grove and the FOP for 2013.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye also. It passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes new business. Comments from board members?
I have two comments to make. First of all, I'd like to thank Officer Rinks, who sat down with me and kind of went over this contract with me. Sometimes it's not the easiest to understand, but thank you for spending time with me and answering all my questions. I appreciate it. And also, a couple Sundays ago, I spent a half a day with the fire department. The public would be amazed about everything that I saw.
have the dockets?
The time that I spent with Aaron. Thank you for hosting me at the station. I learned an awful lot, and I was amazed about what our fire department does. So, thanks, Aaron.
He took my thunder away, but
Oh,
anyway, thanks, guys, for working it out, hashing over it. Good partnership, you know. And the fire department, they do the same thing, so really appreciate that. And finished.
Any other comments?
nope.
If not, ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Meeting's adjourned at 6:47. Our next meeting is March the 4th at 6 p.m. For now, it's in these chambers, but we might have to move it depending on the construction. Thank you.